People don't leave bad business. People leave bad bosses. People leave environments where they cannot be themselves. They cannot be authentic. They cannot be transparent. They cannot be real. That's why people leave.
Welcome to Legacy Lounge, the podcast where you'll discover how to lead with purpose and build a legacy that matters. So if you're ready to step into your full potential, show up authentically for yourself and others, and create a lasting impact on the world, you're in the right place. Let's begin. Today we are going to dive into something that I really hope resonates deeply with many of you. The moment that you realize you're compromising who you are for someone else's dysfunction is a pretty heavy topic. So I hope that if you are in that space right now, or you are experiencing those feelings when you look in the mirror and you barely recognize yourself, not physically, but really who you've become, that you come back to this episode or share it with someone that you know could benefit from hearing it. So back to the feeling of looking at yourself in the mirror and barely recognizing yourself and what you have become, not physically, but who you have become internally. Today, I'm sharing a pretty personal story, and it's exactly about that. And it wasn't just one big moment. It was a compilation of a lot of small moments and a lot of small little lies. And the constant shape-shifting that happened by nature, I found myself covering for leadership behaviors that went against absolutely everything I believe in. And I was making excuses. I was smoothing things over. I was being a good soldier and falling in line and following direction. And to be honest, I put my value in my title and in my accomplishments and in my paycheck and the money over years that I had earned. And I put it into all of my accolades, all of my achievements, all of how others defined me by the things that I had accomplished. And I stayed small. I stayed quiet, not to rock the boat. I became a chameleon, a very good chameleon. And I changed colors quickly to match whatever was expected of me in the moment. But after a lot of inner work and a lot of reflection and a lot of internal repair, I realized the impact that living in that long term or choosing to stay stuck in that was creating a life and in turn my own legacy in a way that did not represent me, that is not what I stand for and is not what I want to be remembered as. So here is something that I want you to consider throughout listening to this episode. How often do we silence our own voice because it feels safer? How many times do we shrink ourselves because it's easier than standing up and standing in the truth, in your truth? So let's talk about what happens when we lose ourselves in toxic leadership. We start justifying small compromises. We become who others need us to be, regardless of what we can be in those moments. And we build somebody else's legacy instead of our own. The turning point was not dramatic. It was actually quiet. Looking in the mirror one day, I realized I had completely lost my identity.
Every single decision, every action, every word was filtered through someone else's expectations that I allowed to be put on me. When I was faced with a choice to stay quiet or to speak out the truth, to accept comfort or bet on myself, I chose me after ignoring me for so long. I chose my voice. I chose the truth, and I chose the legacy that is going to represent me forever. Nobody else gets that power, and nobody deserves that power over you. Think about it. I'm sure right now you can think of one small compromise that you've made probably even today that is slowly eroding against who you really are. Earlier in my career, I was very passionate about building exceptional teams and delivering unbelievable results by achieving things the right way. But somewhere along the way, I lost sight of my own leadership vision while trying to navigate challenging leadership above me. And I want to drop this truth nugget because I don't think it's said enough. People don't leave bad business. People leave bad bosses. People leave environments where they cannot be themselves. They cannot be authentic. They cannot be transparent. They cannot be real. That's why people leave. So what does that mean for you? As someone who obviously cares about their future and cares about the legacy that they will have and leave one day, as you're building your legacy, what does that mean for you? Your legacy isn't determined by the dysfunction around you. It is built in the moments when you choose authenticity over approval, when you choose values over validation, when you choose your voice over comfort. Take a minute and consider the following questions. What small compromises are you making daily? Where have you lost touch with your own authentic self? What would it look like to fully show up as you again? Remember that as you're building your legacy, every time you choose your authentic self over fitting in, blending in, staying quiet, staying small, you are taking the opportunity for yourself to stand out and represent yourself in a way that you want to. So every time you choose your authentic self over fitting in, you're building a legacy that actually matters. Every time you stand up in the truth, even when, and especially when it's uncomfortable, you're showing others what real leadership can, should, and does look like. Your legacy isn't about your title or your achievements. It is about who you become in the process. And sometimes the most powerful legacy moment is when you quietly say it to yourself, not even out loud. No more. I choose me, starting right now. As you go into your week, ask yourself, what's one small way that you can realign your most authentic self? Because your legacy is waiting. Until next time, keep building a legacy that is uniquely and authentically yours.
That's it for this episode of Legacy Lounge, a podcast dedicated to empowering you to lead with purpose. Remember, leadership begins with you. When you're connected to your values, strengths, and authentic self, you show up powerfully for your team, businesses, and everyone you lead. To authentically lead others, you must first lead yourself. I challenge you to consider, how are you investing in your personal growth to create a legacy that you envision? Thank you for joining me in the Legacy Lounge. If this episode sparked any thoughts or inspired action, I'd love to hear from you. I'm your host, Brin'na Rollins-Williams. Connect with me on LinkedIn or other socials, and let's continue the conversation. Remember, your legacy is built one intentional step at a time.